bonded, bonded, bonded. As an adjective, when talking about a thing, this means joined securely to another thing, especially by an adhesive, a heat process, or pressure. When speaking of a company or a person, this means bound by a legal agreement. So, in relation to the first definition, what this means is two bits of metal that are bonded together, that are joined together, would be bonded. Um, you know, sort of a house. A house is bonded together. All of the individual parts of a house are bonded together. If they weren't bonded together, we wouldn't want to live there because the house might fall apart. But it can also mean like psychologically bonded, because we could say that we are joined securely to another person in a psychological sense, right? And then other person or company, this is a legal agreement, like a legal contract between two companies, maybe a boss and an employee, for example, or it could be a legal contract such as a marriage, right? Because a marriage is a legal agreement, I think, in most countries. So these are the definitions of bonded. Let's have a look at some example sentences. They have bonded psychologically. They have bonded psychologically. The family have bonded emotionally. The family have bonded emotionally. They are bonded by wealth. They are bonded by wealth. He's bonded to that company. He's bonded to that company. Patient, patient, patient. As an adjective, this means able to accept or tolerate delays, problems, or suffering without becoming annoyed or anxious. So, to simplify it then, let's say you have to wait in a line for whatever, to get your hair cut, to get something, and it takes 2 or 3 hours, and you don't get annoyed by it, you don't suffer, you don't feel too bad about it. You are a patient person. If you find it hard to wait for more than a minute, you are probably not a patient person. And it also refers to suffering. If you can tolerate suffering for a prolonged period of time, you are a patient person. Let's have a look at some example sentences. He waited for hours. He's a patient man. He waited for hours. He's a patient man. You have to be patient with children. You have to be patient with children. I'm very patient when I need to be. I'm very patient when I need to be. Cooperative, cooperative, cooperative. As an adjective, this means marked by cooperation or marked by a willingness and ability to work with others, which is pretty much the same as cooperation. So a good example of this might be, let's say me and you need to get a taxi to the same place, but we don't know each other. Now, we could decide to spend more money and both get a taxi individually. So 2 different taxis, one for you, one for me, and spend more money. Or we could choose to cooperate and be cooperative and share one taxi that takes us to the same destination and save money, right? Or for example, sometimes at work, you may not like another person, but you may be almost forced to work with them. You may be almost required to work with them. And if you choose to work with them, you would be a cooperative person. Whereas if you don't choose to work with them, you would not be cooperative. You'd be uncooperative. Let's have a look at some examples. Jenny, be cooperative. We are trying to help you. Jenny, be cooperative. We are trying to help you. My dog is not cooperative when I try to give him a bath. My dog is not cooperative when I try to give him a bath. They are very cooperative people. They are very cooperative people. Forgiving, forgiving, forgiving. As an adjective, this means willing or able to forgive or allowing room for error or weakness. So the first definition is pretty easy. Someone does something mean and you say, okay, I'm able to forgive you. I'm willing to forgive you because I'm a forgiving person. Pretty simple definition. The second, allowing for room for error or weakness. That's forgiving of, say, a weakness in a person's personality. So perhaps you've got a friend who says, hey, I'm not going to drink any more alcohol anymore. And they're a bit weak and they do. And you say, it's okay. You're allowed to make mistakes sometimes. That's a forgiving thing to say. And also small errors. So, for example, let's say you buy some milk and you expect it to cost $5, but it costs $5.05. Well, it's only 5 cents more. It's a bit erroneous on your end, but you can be forgiving of that. It's only 5 cents, right? Let's have a look at some examples. The exam will be very forgiving. The exam will be very forgiving. My mother is kind and forgiving. My mother is kind and forgiving. They are not forgiving people. They are not forgiving people. You have to be forgiving with children. You have to be forgiving with children. Joyful, joyful, joyful. As an adjective, this means experiencing, causing, or showing joy. Happy. And it can also mean feeling, causing, or showing joy. Basically the same definition. So let's get into it. Joy is essentially just happiness. So you either, I don't know, maybe you give a friend a gift or you say something nice to them, it makes them feel happy or joyful. In that respect, you would be causing joy, so that would be a joyful action. If you were to show that you are happy and smile or laugh, you'd be showing joy, which would show that you are joyful. And if you just felt happy but didn't express it, you would be in a joyful mood. You would be joyful in that sense. Laughing is joyful. Smiling is joyful, for example. Let's have a look at some example sentences in use. This has been a joyful day. This has been a joyful day. Your baby is so joyful. Your baby is so joyful. Raising a family has been joyful. Raising a family has been joyful. My friends are joyful. My friends are joyful. Warm, warm, warm. As an adjective, this means having or giving out heat to a moderate or adequate degree. It also means having, showing, or expressive of enthusiasm, affection, or kindness. So the first definition just means a radiator, a heater, an oven is something that gives out a moderate amount of heat if you're not too close to it. So that would be something that's warm. But what we're referring to really, in terms of family adjectives, is having, showing, or expressive of enthusiasm, affection, or kindness. So this just means someone who, when you go see them or when you're around them, you say, "Oh, I don't know if things are going well," or whatever. You give them a problem and say, "Oh, don't worry, it'll be fine." They're enthusiastic, or they'll be very kind to you. They might give you gifts. They might tell you that you're wonderful. They might kiss you. They might hug you and show affection. They would be warm people who show you a warm way to feel, right? Or make you feel warm. Let's have a look at some example sentences. She's a warm and loving mother. She's a warm and loving mother. The heater is warm. The heater is warm. What a warm welcome. What a warm welcome. They are a warm family. They are a warm family. Genuine, genuine, genuine. As an adjective, this means actually having the reputed or apparent qualities or character, and it also means sincerely and honestly felt or experienced. So an example of this is, Let's say you buy, I don't know, a belt, and it's made of paper, right? But you would expect a belt to be made of leather or plastic, and you'd expect it to be strong, and you'd expect it to last for probably more than a day. And a paper belt would probably fall apart immediately. So a paper belt isn't a genuine or useful belt, for example. And somebody who claims to be a fitness coach, you would expect them to be very fit, very strong, very healthy. But if they were extremely obese, extremely fat, you might think they're not a genuine fitness coach, right? And then the second definition is just, let's say you smile, you fake a smile for a photo. That's not a genuine smile. It's not a sincerely and honestly felt smile or happiness, right? But let's say that you were laughing uncontrollably. You could say that that was a genuine laugh because it's sincerely and honestly felt. So sincere that you couldn't control your expression of that emotion. It's a very genuine emotion, very genuine laugh. Let's have a look at some example sentences. These are genuine leather bags. These are genuine leather bags. That was a genuine smile. That was a genuine smile. He's a happy and genuine father. He's a happy and genuine father. What a genuine hug he gave me. What a genuine hug he gave me. Chaotic, chaotic, chaotic. As an adjective, this means in a state of complete confusion and disorder. So if you walked into a room and everything was in a strange place and it was very messy and you didn't know what was happening and it was confusing the order, that would be a very chaotic room. If you walk into a place, a restaurant, let's say, and there are dirty plates everywhere, there's lots of customers, a lot of noise, waiters might say, hey, do you want to order something? They might say something like that and then abandon you completely to do something else. That would be a very chaotic restaurant. Or a person who goes from being very happy to suddenly very angry or very sad would be a chaotic person. They'd be chaotic. Let's have a look at some example sentences. Family life can be chaotic. Family life can be chaotic. My children are chaotic and often make a mess. My children are chaotic and often make a mess. I'm a chaotic person. I'm a chaotic person. Inclusive, inclusive, inclusive. As an adjective, this means covering or intended to cover all items, costs, or services, and it also means including everyone. So looking at the first definition, this just means, let's say you were to pay for an all-inclusive hotel stay. Well, that would include the rooms, and it would also include things like showers, toilets, things you'd expect in a hotel room. But it would include breakfast, lunch, dinner, and every other service they have if it was all-inclusive. So it might include a gym, and a gym that is inclusive in terms of covering all items would have every single piece of equipment imaginable. It would have everything for every muscle, and it would have a boxing ring and would have a swimming pool. Inclusive means to include basically all the things, all the services, all the items that you would imagine given a certain thing. But by the second definition, it could mean including everyone. So this might mean you try to be aware of people who have disabilities or of a different racial group or cultural background. You're trying to include them culturally. You're trying to include them in terms of ability. Or it could mean just including everyone in the sense of, let's say, you're having a family gathering and the children are talking. You don't ignore the children when they're annoying. Grandma says she has to do blah, blah, blah. You include her in the conversation. You include everyone in the conversation and the activity. Let's have a look at some examples. This is an all-inclusive holiday. This is an all-inclusive holiday. The price is inclusive of the Wi-Fi. The price is inclusive of the Wi-Fi. We are inclusive people and make sure our family are inclusive of others. We are inclusive people and make sure our family are inclusive of others. We are very inclusive of our neighbours' children. We are very inclusive of our neighbours' children. Open-hearted, open-hearted, open-hearted. As an adjective, this means candidly straightforward, frank, or it can also mean responsive to emotional appeal. So in the first sense, open-hearted just means that you speak with truth and very directly, right? So, for example, I might think that you smell, and I would just say, look, you smell very badly today. I don't know why. And I might not say it because I hate you or because I have some kind of dislike for you. I'm just being very honest and very direct about what I think. I'm being open-hearted. And in terms of the second definition, this just means if someone were to say, hey, I'm really sorry about the mistake I made. I love you. Please forgive me. That's an emotional appeal. They're not saying, I won't do it again. Here's the reasons why I did it. And this is the reason why you should forgive me. They're saying, oh, just forgive me because you love me. Just forget it because you love me. And you say, okay, I'm an open-hearted person. I love you too. I accept that you make mistakes because you're responsive to emotional appeal. Or maybe there's a baby crying and you don't really know what to do, and you just give it some milk and you give it some love because you're responding to its emotional appeal. It's saying, I'm upset, please help me. So you try to help that baby. Let's have a look at some examples. Let's speak in an open-hearted way. Let's speak in an open-hearted way. I hope my daughter grows to be an open-hearted person. I hope my daughter grows to be an open-hearted person. My son is very open-hearted. My son is very open-hearted.